Have you ever seen an entire sports league spin on its axis the moment one rookie steps onto the court? Because that's exactly what happened when Caitlin Clark joined the Indiana Fever. With a single signature on a rookie contract, she became the most electrifying figure in women's basketball. Skeptics insisted it was media hype, but the numbers told a different story. Sold-out arenas, off-the-charts TV ratings, and a wave of new fans who couldn't stop buzzing about the newly dubbed Queen of the Hardwood.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA.
Yet, behind all the highlight reels and packed stadiums, tension was simmering. Some were convinced she was overexposed, others labeled her a game-changing sensation, and nearly everyone had a strong opinion. The only thing that was clear: nothing in the WNBA would ever be the same.
It is good for the entire WNBA.
Before the headlines and the breathless live broadcasts, Caitlin Clark was just a fiercely determined kid from Iowa. Stories circulated about her shooting jumpers at dawn, sometimes staying in the gym long after her teammates packed up. Her coaches swore she had an almost unnatural focus on the game. Some said she studied film with more devotion than most seasoned pros. Rumors floated around even then. Major colleges had scouts following her since grade school, and coaches whispered that she could become the next face of women's basketball if she ever made the leap to the pros. Still, plenty of people doubted that anyone, even a gifted shooter from the Midwest, could legitimately shift the course of the entire league. The WNBA, they argued, needed more than a single star to move the needle. But the speculation only intensified when her college highlights started racking up millions of views online. Fans, recruiters, journalists, everyone began asking the same question: could she really change the WNBA? The answer was still unclear, but one thing was certain. If her rookie season was anything like her college career, it would be a story for the ages. It was a question that set the stage for what came next, and ironically, even the biggest dreamers had no idea how huge it would become. Because as soon as she joined the Indiana Fever, all bets were off. When Caitlin Clark was drafted, it felt like the entire sports world turned its gaze to the WNBA.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
Social media exploded with speculation about how quickly she'd adapt to the pro game. The hype machine roared, fueled by viral clips of her draining, impossible three-pointers and dishing out flashy assists. Every rumor about her training routine or rumored endorsement deals turned into major headlines. Some called it the Caitlin Clark circus, insisting the coverage was too much, too soon. Yet the hype didn't just exist on social media. Networks started promoting Indiana Fever games as marquee events. Analysts placed her name beside legends of the sport, predicting records would be broken. That kind of breathless coverage always breeds friction, and sure enough, tensions flared. Seasoned WNBA stars, players who'd earned their stripes over a decade, weren't thrilled about all the headlines pointing to this one newcomer. From underhanded remarks to openly cold behavior, some established names seemed reluctant to share the limelight with a rookie. The situation escalated further when talk of a rivalry with Angel Reese dominated sports chatter. Angels fans insisted she was overshadowed by the hype around Caitlin, and a wave of social media drama erupted, culminating in both subtle and overt jabs. Critics claimed the league was manufacturing drama for ratings, while others swore the tension was genuine. Haters even started labeling Clark as overexposed, a media creation that would fade once the novelty wore off. But behind every tweet or talk show rant, the demand to see Caitlin Clark play just kept growing. Even with the swirling controversies, her first few weeks as a pro silenced a lot of doubters. She was already setting the stat sheet on fire, leading in scoring, dishing out assists like they were candy, and lighting up highlight reels. That was just the start, though, because an even bigger storm was about to envelop the entire league. If any moment defined the beginning of the so-called Caitlin Clark era, it was the first time the Indiana Fever played in front of a sold-out crowd, on the road. Opposing teams' arenas were suddenly swarming with fans wearing Clark jerseys, some of them willing to travel across state lines just for a glimpse of her. Sports commentators, who used to give women's basketball a passing nod, were now leading their broadcasts with WNBA updates. A phenomenon had begun. It wasn't just about the seats in the arenas. TV networks reported jaw-dropping ratings whenever the Fever played. Night after night, local channels saw surges in viewership. Major networks soon jumped into a bidding war. The result? An astonishing 41 of Indiana's 44 regular season games were slated for national broadcast, more primetime coverage than seasoned champions had ever received. Then came the real bombshells. Attendance records. The Indiana Fever, who had struggled to fill half the seats just a couple of seasons back, were now dealing with oversold arenas. Bigger venues. 6 different WNBA teams announced they were moving games against the Fever to larger arenas just to house the demand.
There have been 6 teams that have changed venues when the Indiana Fever come to play. All of these arenas are selling out.
Merchandise sellouts. Caitlin Clark's jersey became a top seller, consistently outpacing every other player in the league combined. Naturally, critics insisted it was all about hype and no substance. But the stats told a different story. Whenever Clark played, fans tuned in, ticket sales spiked, and the overall buzz around the league skyrocketed. And just as these new heights were becoming the norm, the controversies took center stage, adding another layer of intrigue to an already epic season. Success of this magnitude never comes without a backlash, and Caitlin Clark was no exception. Rival fan bases were quick to diminish her accomplishments, accusing networks of playing favorites by putting the Fever on national television so often. Online, a vocal group of critics claimed she was overexposed, overrated, or simply a creation of marketing dollars. Some fans even threatened a weird sort of boycott by refusing to watch Fever games, hoping the ratings would tank.
Boycott watching the Indiana Fever games. You are only doing that if you don't care about anyone else.
But ironically, the negativity only drew more attention to her. The rumored tension between Caitlin and other star players also hit a boiling point. Angel Reese became the lightning rod for this friction, with social media fueling the narrative that their rivalry was personal. Every sideways glance or half-hearted handshake turned into a scandalous headline. A few WNBA veterans, especially those who had never seen such immediate stardom themselves, dropped cryptic comments about earning respect or the league handing her the keys. Others worried that focusing so heavily on one rookie overshadowed the rest of the talented roster. In short, everyone had something to say, and nothing set the internet on fire like a good back-and-forth feud. Some of the loudest critiques weren't just about basketball. They delved into areas of race, identity, and privilege. The debate over whether the praise for Caitlin Clark overshadowed other deserving black athletes raged on blogs, forums, and TV panels. A portion of the commentary took on a nasty edge, with both sides trading barbs and allegations. Through it all, however, one truth stood out. Controversy or not, people were watching. Ratings soared higher, fueled by curious onlookers wanting to see what Caitlin would do next. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever kept climbing in the standings, thriving off the unstoppable wave of support. Their games became events people discussed at water coolers and over dinner tables. And if that boosted the entire league's profile in the process, it was impossible to ignore. While one corner of the internet complained about the Caitlin Clark show, the rest of the world tuned in, even if it was just to see what all the fuss was about.
Whether you like the Indiana Fever or not, whether you like Caitlin Clark or not, it has gotten to the point where we can no longer deny the fact that they are the biggest draw in the WNBA.
Behind every sold-out arena and viral highlight reel, there was another story unfolding, one about money. For years, WNBA players, media, and fans had demanded larger investments and improved marketing. Suddenly, thanks to the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, sponsors were lining up in record numbers. Companies that had never previously spent a dime on women's sports were now clamoring to partner with the league. The result? Multi-year deals, bigger sponsorship packages, and a wave of fresh attention that translated directly to the bottom line. Across the league, merch sales were hitting unprecedented highs. Clark's jersey consistently sold out online, forcing the Fever's store to issue announcements about restocks. Even rival teams admitted that when the Fever came to town, their own merchandise counters saw increased foot traffic. The phrase Caitlin Clark effect wasn't just about attendance. It meant real revenue increases for everyone. But high stakes can breed discontent. Some of the league's established stars found themselves struggling to hold onto sponsorship deals they once dominated. Others quietly, sometimes openly, resented the fact that Clark was signing lucrative endorsements so soon after entering the league. A few outspoken veterans demanded higher pay for all players, asserting that if the league had money for Caitlin, they could surely improve salaries across the board. Paradoxically, Clark's critics were simultaneously benefiting from the tidal wave she created. Every big-time Fever game put their teams in front of bigger audiences than ever, which opened the door for bigger deals. Still, no one could deny that the WNBA was finally seeing the kind of mainstream attention it had craved for years. As money poured in and social media engagement soared, fans began asking if this was a turning point. Had one star, almost single-handedly, managed to elevate an entire league to the next level? And if so, what would come next?
It is not only going to be good for this Indiana Fever team, it's going to be great for everyone. It's going to be great for every single player in the WNBA and also every single team in the WNBA.
Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of women's basketball. Networks, international investors, top collegiate prospects, and even celebrity owners sniffing around for a chance to buy into franchises. Rumors of new expansion teams swirled. People whispered about adding more games to the season and possibly realigning the conferences to handle the sudden influx of fan interest. Leaks from league insiders hinted that fresh broadcast deals could multiply the WNBA's revenue within just a few seasons. On the grassroots side, local youth programs saw a surge in enrollment. High school games drew more scouts and reporters, all searching for the next Caitlin Clark. Talk show hosts questioned whether we were witnessing the birth of a new golden era for women's basketball. Even casual viewers who used to ignore the WNBA became intrigued. What was so special about this young phenom who seemed to bend the game to her will? One rumor suggested that several big-name NCAA players were actively using Caitlin as a blueprint, chasing endorsement deals, building personal brands, and focusing on the style of play that racks up highlight-worthy content. Others speculated that more top college players would skip overseas leagues if the WNBA contracts continued to grow, which meant more star power staying stateside. Combine that with the bright spotlight on the Fever, and you had the makings of a wild, fast-paced future where every game was a spectacle. But it wasn't all roses. Haters still latched onto any slip Caitlin made, from a missed buzzer beater to a perceived social slight. Angel Reese and others who'd been overshadowed for so long demanded respect, determined to prove they were just as deserving of top billing. The tension might have been real, but it propelled the conversation forward, ensuring that women's hoops stayed on the front page of sports websites worldwide. By this point, though, most fans had stopped caring about petty rivalries. They were more interested in the next chapter, because if Caitlin Clark had done this much damage to the status quo in one season, what could she possibly do over an entire career?
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
From overlooked prospect to unstoppable superstar, Caitlin Clark's journey is still unfolding. And in the process, she's transformed the Indiana Fever from a struggling franchise into the biggest draw in the entire WNBA. Maybe it's the undeniable skill, maybe it's the controversies, or maybe it's just a perfect storm of timing. But the result is the same. She's earned a level of attention, admiration, and scrutiny unlike anything the league has experienced. Some call her overexposed, others call her a savior. The only point no one can argue? She has everyone watching. From media moguls engineering TV deals to players determined to take her down, Caitlin Clark commands the conversation. And if the attendance records, jersey sales, and monumental TV ratings keep stacking up, the conversation isn't stopping anytime soon. So, what does that mean for the future of women's basketball? Will the Fever's growing empire spark expansion teams, bigger salaries, and a deeper talent pool across the league? Or will the WNBA struggle to handle this meteoric rise without splintering under its newfound spotlight? Here's the truth. No one knows exactly how far this wave will carry the sport. But we do know it's rewriting history every single day. If you're a fan or even just a curious onlooker, there's never been a more thrilling time to watch the WNBA. Because as long as Caitlin Clark is on the court, the game is anything but predictable.
Every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured, because she's keeping your league afloat.
In the end, whether you're cheering for her or rooting against her, you won't be able to look away. The legend is still in the making, and the next record-shattering moment could be just around the corner. And that leads us to the question burning in everyone's mind. How far can one player carry an entire league? The answer might surprise us all.